So you see the title and you're mad. And I get it. I'm mad too. Let's all just hug and calm down together. Here is the deal though. As we all know, WrestleMania has become so big nowadays that in the run up to it, everybody goes crazy and jumps on the bandwagon. And if you are a so-called casual fan, this is the time you do plug back in, because it's flubbing WrestleMania. Usually kicks off at the Royal Rumble where people do get WWE excited. And this year, you can probably say it's that times two, especially when it came to the ever-changing storylines, because who is involved now? It's a heel version of The Rock. Who saw that coming? It's because of all this though that it has become so important to AEW. And why? Here's why. Now for starters, people being pumped for Mania is really, really good, because usually what happens in any industry is that if you are at the tippity top and you are providing positive momentum, that rolls downhill and it affects everybody too. And this is what we want. It's good for the industry. This year could be a little bit different though, because we do have the return of the Great One. And Dwayne Johnson is such a big star, so many more eyeballs are going to want to see him do his thing. And once again, even more so because he is a bad guy, he's now tapping into super nostalgia too. He hasn't really done this version of the character since the late 90s. Now I do think it's the right move, as we talked about in other videos, which brings us to AEW, because an opportunity could present itself. And sure, attendance figures as of late haven't been all that ideal, and where ratings have balanced out, I'm sure Tony Khan would appreciate it if they were a little bit higher. But this just means he's walking down a road of his own. And if you want to do that when you are side by side with WrestleMania, why the flub not? It's when wrestling's at its hottest. Now I want to make it clear that AEW does not need to compete directly with WWE. They just need to be a really good alternative, because how many times have we seen people try to be WWE light and it absolutely sucks? Like, I really like TNA, but back in the day, that was their biggest problem. They didn't really have an identity. But if you do see all this chatter happening overall and you want some of that to come back to you, well, do you know what would be a good 1-2 punch? The debuts of Okada and Mercedes Moné. And people like to pretend that's overkill too. But is it? Is it really? If I served you pizza and then you got ice cream right away, are you going to send one of these back? No, you're not. You can be like, man, I get savory and sweet. Let's do the dance of joy. It really would make March 2024 a month to remember and talk about for ages too. And actually, when we do go through the year so far, I think All Elite Wrestling's doing a pretty damn good job. Because the Hangman Adam Page Swerve Strickland feud is becoming one of those all-time things. The fact that Samoa Joe has been inserted in the middle as the world champion, well, it's just good stuff. The women's division is also getting better and better, and Toni Storm is becoming a super babyface there. And also, we may be about to get the arrival of Mercedes. And recently, we had the retirement of Sting. If you were able to watch that without water coming out of your seeing devices, well, you ain't me, man, because I was crying like a baby. I genuinely thought the whole thing was damn brilliant. You also don't just sell out the Greensboro Coliseum by accident, so once again, we have a momentum situation here, and All Elite Wrestling should start to avoid that wave. I also think it's a great time to double down and stick to your guns, so once again, while there are some metrics we need to improve, if you believe in your product and you think this is the right direction, well, yeah, you should start shouting about it from the rafters, and hopefully some people will tune in because they're watching wrestling elsewhere too. And we do have to remember this may take some time. You've got to hold your nerve, but you do not want to deviate. Again, I don't want to take shots at them because I am a big fan. But once again, go back 10, 15 years with TNA, they did this all the time. I really do find that Mania season can reignite a lot of people's love for professional wrestling. So if all of a sudden they hear, wait a minute, Sasha Banks has gone over to this place, oh, that megastar from Okada, he's there too? Well, they may pick up the remote and they may tune in, and at worst, maybe they'll check you out on social media, have clips ready. And it's at that moment when you have to hit them with all the stars, such as the Young Bucks or an Orange Cassidy or a Chris Statlander or a Willow Nightingale or a Darby Allin or a Hangman Adam Page or a Swerve Strickland or a Samoa Joe. Show off time as Toni Storm, remind everyone that Adam Copeland and Christian are there. Then there's Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Julia Hart, Sky Blue. We could do this all day, I won't, it's boring. And of course there has to be good stories, and you want to make sure people understand you have amazing matches, although AEW never has a problem with the latter. And just look at what happens over Mania weekend. Like, I know AEW doesn't partake, which is probably the right move, but the fact that every single other person does means that we know, and they all know, so you can try and pick a berry from this tree. So really the rest of the year is very bright for AEW, especially because Tony Khan keeps promising they do have more surprises. But you do have to utilize any single opportunity that comes your way. And once again, the industry is about to buzz right now, and the best way to get people to look in your direction is to make a bunch of noise. Apparently do this with your hand. Ironically, many a wrestler in the Royal Rumble has actually summed up the right thing to do here, which is whatever it takes and any person for themselves. You've got to ignore that last part because it has to be a team effort, but the first bit, damn right. The AEW Revolution pay-per-view apparently, rumouredly, has also done an incredible amount of buys, and that's something that AEW has in its back pocket too. You can talk about attendances and ratings and all of these things, but go and look at the numbers they have done for all their big shows. That is one hell of an impressive record, so the fan base is there, and the fan base is invested. It's also probably why AEW has increased its pay-per-views to 9, maybe even 10 this year. Everything is good and the future is bright. And I do understand that you want to separate yourself from WWE, but I'm just going to go back to the same phrase because to me, it makes all the sense in the world. If my neighbor is having a barbecue going, ah, I'm probably going to poke my head out and see what that neighbor is doing. So essentially, I'm telling AEW to be an annoying person that lives next door to me. This is why I'll never have a real job in wrestling. I'm a flipping idiot. So we shall see where we get to come December 2024, but ultimately, having these two companies doing their thing is better for everyone. I don't think it's any coincidence that WWE all of a sudden got twice as good when AEW was nipping at their heels. So yeah, one can be the shark and one can be the piranha. And I'm done with these bad analogies because none of them make any sense. Look at the shirt. The other thing we should point out too is that you actually can see this kind of stuff manifesting itself on their social media. Because you get a pay-per-view like AEW Revolution, everyone's like, oh my gosh, AEW's the best thing ever. And then there'll be some episode of SmackDown where The Rock is on, everyone goes, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. And the crazy people yell at each other going, oh, AEW is better than WWE. The other ones go, WWE is better than AEW. And as long as you're not an insane person like these folk, you actually do have the same kind of feelings because you invest in what you are seeing with your eyes, and it just makes your love for the industry go stronger. And that's the way you can vote on the back of somebody else, because good wrestling vibes are good wrestling vibes, and whether you want to go spend that on any single promotion, it all makes you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. I mean, we all do that to a certain degree. You can't help it. Some of it's recency bias, and some of it is just emotion and adrenaline. We are but human beings. Now, of course, you're mad and you want to talk about things and call me a moron. You can do that in the comments below, and you can like the video, share the video, and subscribe. There's a lovely video on the screen somewhere, which will be me talking about AEW some more. So if you actually thought I had a good thing to say, number one, thank you. Number two, click it. I shall bid you adieu for now, though, and hope you are having a lovely day. And seriously, I think you should watch this space with AEW, especially in the run-up to that All In 2024 show. I think we're in for a treat, my friends. See you soon.
Right, boys, 2024, it's a big year for us on the channel. We need some really great ideas through to get them clicks and make that money. What have you got?
What about another live show?
Okay, so that's an example of a bad idea. How about some good ones?
We all know what the best show of the week is, NXT, so why don't we do just more NXT content?
I said I wanted clicks.
What about another live show in America over WrestleMania weekend?
That's what I'm hearing from you, Hampton. Bad!
We will never in a million years ever again do another live show.
Guys, you won't believe it! CM Punk's back! The Rock's back! It's Phil! I'm Phil! It's Philadelphia! It's WrestleMania!
Guys, I've got it. Live show, America, WrestleMania weekend, Philadelphia.
Yes!